We can work together to build understanding more than anything, but it's been sometimes challenging, and I didn't feel like I had a community out there to help me. Because I had questions, and sometimes people would just say, it's God's will, or would brush me off, or I'd ask, why do we do things a certain way? That's because that's how they've always been, and that was the narrative. But little did I know that there's a larger community out there of Arabic teachers who had similar questions, who were wondering about how to integrate dialects perhaps, or should we not integrate them at all, or how do we deal with modern standard Arabic versus Ammiya and these kinds of questions. And this is something that QFI has been able to bring for me personally, is to be able to reach out to this community no matter where I've lived and where I've been. So I currently teach in New Mexico, and there's not a lot of Arabic teachers there, let's say, and so we're just a small cluster. And so being able to reach out to the state organization then too, because New Mexico poses some unique challenges, as does every state. And so having that state organization was helpful, and it wouldn't have occurred to me to reach out to them again had it not been through the support through QFI and other places too. Like, there's no Arabic teacher council in my state, but maybe you could start with your state organization. I felt very strongly that the intercultural competence aspect is something that needs to be taught along with language. It's not just enough to teach somebody how to say hello. You have to teach, when do you approach somebody else? How do you say hello? Do you shake hands? How do you get out of that conversation? We also have to teach the pragmatics, when do these things possible? Because we could accidentally offend people, not knowing just how to initiate conversations appropriately. And so I think if we really need to build bridges, which I firmly believe that we do, language interaction is the core of this. It has to start there. So that's my goal, is to help others be able to build these bridges as well. There's a certain amount of narrative surrounding who should teach a language. Should it be only native speakers? Because I do speak Arabic with a bit of an American accent. The goal is, of course, to speak with as close to being understandable as possible. And there's a lot of conversation about accents now, and whether they're a force for change or a positive or a negative. But when you're teaching a language, pronunciation is important. And I think that together we can work together to build understanding more than anything. But it's been sometimes challenging, and I didn't feel like I had a community out there to help me. Because I had questions, and sometimes people would just brush me off, or I'd ask, why do we do things a certain way? That's because that's how they've always been, and that was the narrative. But little did I know that there's a larger community out there of Arabic teachers who had similar questions, who were wondering about how to integrate dialects perhaps, or should we not integrate them at all, or how do we deal with modern standard Arabic versus Ammiya and these kinds of questions. And this is something that QFI has been able to bring for me personally, is to be able to reach out to this community no matter where I've lived and where I've been, to be able to have a forum to ask these questions and interact with others. And sometimes it's not even like the specific workshop about it, it's what happens before and after when you get a cup of coffee with somebody and you have that conversation. That's been sometimes the most enriching things, part of the journey that I've had, and it's made me such a better teacher. And so how do we keep these language classes alive? How do we tell our, let's say, administrators that Duolingo is not enough? We can't really teach the intercultural competence by having this green owl help us along with that. There's so much more to it. There's so much more through the interactions and that kind of thing. And so I think this is a challenge that we're going to have to overcome together as people across the world, not just the United States. But how do we show the value of learning another language? How do we show the value of even just taking a language for a year, and what can come out of that? Because I think there's this misconception that when you take another language, fluency is the goal, and there's nothing else that's important. So if you're not fluent, it's been a waste of time. We can help each other out and raise each other up, because I truly believe that a rising tide lifts all boats, as they say. And so when we're here at places like this, if we can reach out and help each other and offer resources and share our lesson plans and share our exams and share our concerns and get help from each other, not to be afraid to ask for help. When it comes to Arabic is a language that will never die. It is not going away. It's spoken all over the world. It's not just spoken in the Middle East, and there's various reasons for this. And so I think that we're only going to see Arabic grow more and more prominent as the years go by. And people are going to start to realize this, and they're going to start to realize how much they're missing out on by not knowing the language and the culture in particular, and having this intercultural competence. Don't give up hope. I think people are doing a lot of good things. They say that teaching is one of the most optimistic things you can ever do, because we plant seeds that we never get to see the results from, or rarely do we get to see the results, because our students grow up and graduate and move on, and we don't always know what happens. But those students do sometimes come back. And so we have to maintain that optimism and positivity and rely on each other and lean on each other a little bit too in this life, because that's all we have is each other.